How's it going, everybody? My name's Adam Fox, and welcome to another Black Ops 3 video. In this video, we're going to be going over some tips for the game mode Safeguard, as it's the one that I've probably had the most fun and the most success with in Black Ops 3 so far, outside of your normal team deathmatch kind of game modes.
This video is brought to you by Control Freak, the top performance-enhancing console gaming accessory. Their FPS freaks are next-gen ready and will help give you a competitive edge. Use promo code EPOSVOX at checkout to save 10%. Click the screen to learn more.
So if you don't know what Safeguard is, it is a new objective game mode, or at least new as far as I know. I haven't paid attention to a lot of the extraneous game modes in previous Call of Duty lately, but it's an objective game mode where you escort a robot, which we call Chappie, based on the movie, from basically one point of the map to the other. You go from your spawn all the way over to the other side of the map at the enemy spawn to blow up their base, essentially. Very basic concept, but it becomes a very dynamic experience, especially in the new Call of Duty with the new movement mechanics, the new map design. It's very different to me in my opinion, and it plays out very nicely overall. And it's a very competitive game mode in the sense that if you have a team together rolling with it and get serious about it, it becomes very high strung and you super intense about trying to win, and you can lose at the last possible minute or win at the last possible minute and get really excited about it. I've had a lot of fun with it. One of the most important things when playing Safeguard to keep in mind is that you need really good map control. So you definitely want at least, 1 to 4 other people with you that playing with you, because playing by yourself, while totally doable, is not going to be as much fun of an experience. If you want to actually play to win, you're going to want to play with some friends, have mics going, and actually communicate, and it becomes a whole totally different experience. Safeguard's available in its own playlist, as well as Ground War with, huge teams versus each other, which also becomes a lot of fun on the bigger maps as well. So map control is super important. You want to be, it does get a little frustrating because people are going to end up behind you at all points, but you want to make sure that you know all the routes of the map that you can get to one side to the other. You want to know which route Chappie takes, the robot takes across the map, because he takes some kind of weird routes across the map. Like he climbs out a window on certain ones, he doesn't just go straight A to B. He goes a weird loop and kind of a more realistic path to try to avoid taking damage. Every so often, he will, players obviously try to attack you, but they will attack the robot and try to take it down. And when it dies, it sits there and reboots for a little bit and comes back up. And you have 5 minutes to get it from point A to point B. And the other team just has to keep stopping it and prevent it from getting there within that 5 minutes. So obviously that means you're gonna want all angles as possible to take out the robot. And that also means if you're on defense, you wanna make sure you're watching all angles, because you're gonna get flanked very easily. And nothing's worse than making a good stretch of escorting the robot and getting taken out from behind. The whole team gets wiped and they take it down pretty quickly while everybody's respawning, especially when you only have a little bit of time left. So if you're on the offensive, which means you're defending the robot, you're escorting it from A to B, you want about 2 to 3 slayers, depending on which team size you're playing the game mode, that are running around and trying to kill off enemies before they get to you all, and the rest need to be on the robot, because you do need people right next to the robot for him to actually move. And I do believe he moves a little bit quicker when there's more people on him. You want a bunch of people around the robot also to help defend it and kill off anyone who's close to it, but then 2 to 3 slayers flanking around the map to try to stop enemies from getting to you. You also need to swap out upon death. So if someone is on the robot and dies, someone that's out on the outer edges of the map and slaying needs to move in, help defend the robot, and then that person, when they respawns, can go out to the outer edges of the map and just kind of keep going out and in. That way all positions are pretty much always filled, as protecting the robot is kind of the #1 priority here. You also should be using support kill streaks. You should be focusing on using your support kill streaks on this game, on this team if you're on defense, because UAVs, counter UAVs, things like that are going to help you the most when you're defending the robot. Killing based kill streaks can kind of wait, as they're not going to be super helpful here. If you're on defense, which means you're attacking the robot, trying to stop it, you want to save your supers 100% for the robot. Your supers, your tactic, or your lethal grenades, such as the best ones are trip mines, sticky grenades and the thermite, in my opinion, as thermite does continuous damage over time. So if nobody's on it while it's moving, you throw a thermite down and it's just going to keep doing damage on it no matter what. A trip mine, it will set off as soon as it, basically hits it and does a huge chunk of damage to it, and sticky grenades are obviously going to do a huge chunk of damage to it. You want to use rockets on it from range, I'll touch on that in a minute, but you want to save your supers for the robot entirely. The Sparrow can completely take down the robot from 100% health with the entire clip of the bow and arrow. The melee from the Ripper, which is one of my favorite super classes, cannot take it down as well. And so you want to save it for those, that way you can take it down very quickly. The quicker you take the robot down, the easier you're going to stop it and prevent it from taking progress. That's kind of like football. You want to tackle the person with the ball as quickly as possible so they don't gain any yards. You can't make the robot go backwards in yards like in football, but close enough. And overall, you want to hit the robot with everything, obviously. Shoot it with everything you got. Just make sure you're also keeping an eye out and not getting killed by teammates, as you want to keep everybody alive as much as possible, because the more deaths you have, the more opportunity the other team has to actually progress the robot forward. So you want to keep people alive as much as pretty much virtually possible. Rockets are great to use against it, as it takes out huge chunks of health away from it, and the black cell gives you 4 rockets to hit it with, which can basically completely take it down. But that makes you super vulnerable to getting killed by enemy players. So you want to make sure you have a decent amount of range on it so that you're not right on top of it and getting killed. But that also means that the rocket will be prone to hitting teammates. I actually killed myself a couple times by a teammate jumping in front of my rocket and it blowing me up. That was pretty annoying. But since they do lock on, as long as you have an open shot from range, you can pretty much get a guaranteed hit. And if anybody's literally on top of the robot, you'll damage them as well. Now, being on this team is when you want to use your killing kill streaks. So your lightning strikes, your wraps, everything like that, you want to use those, because if you're keeping the enemy team off of the robot, then you're keeping it from moving. And that makes it really, really easy to just kind of keep it in one place. If you get them trapped to where they can't even get to the robot, you've basically won the round, as long as it's, towards the end of the time countdown. And you want to make sure that you're flanking. Even if they're moving the robot, if you get a few people behind them and clear them out, then they have to completely respawn, run all the way across the map to the robot, and that cuts down, that cuts minutes off the clock very quickly. So flank, find the alternate routes, get behind people, also know the robot route, like if you're on the other team, and make sure you know where it's gonna go. Get behind the enemy, wipe them out, keep the robot in one place as much as possible. I wouldn't really recommend using sniper rifles in this game mode unless there's you have a specific really big map you're good at sniping on, as they're super slow. And while they may do a decent chunk of damage to the robot, that relies on it being in one place, moving slowly and being open. Assault rifles, SMGs if you're up close, rocket launchers, anything that's gonna hit it really hard and fast, you wanna use that, because you also need to react to enemies and keep an eye out, be vigilant to enemies around you, beside you, behind you. And if you're using a sniper, you're not gonna be as likely, if a bunch of people show up behind you, to be able to save yourself. And so, not the best idea. These have been my experiences, or my tips based on my experiences for the Safeguard game mode in Black Ops 3. I've been having a lot of fun with it. Leave a comment down below if you've played Safeguard yet, what you think about it, if you're enjoying it. Otherwise, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Let me know if you want to see more Black Ops, Halo 3, or Halo 5 rather, or Halo 3 I guess, etc. And I will see you in the next video. My name has been Adam Raples Box. Go play a video game.